Hi, it's iBookbinding's podcast. Today we have a guest from Mexico, Lucía Farías. Hi.
First of all, thanks for inviting me. This is such an honor to be in this recording today. I'm Lucía Farías. I've been a bookbinder for, I guess, like 14 years.
How was it during the lockdowns and this coronavirus year for you?
I'm loving it.
Okay. That's a good answer.
I'm a little weird, but yeah, I'm loving it. I've been working on all of the things that I've ever said, that I've always said, that whenever I have time, I'm going to finish this book. Whenever I have time, I'm going to finish this basket. Whenever I have time, I'm going to start an herb garden. And yeah, so all those things have been going on here. I've been finishing some projects. I've signed up for online workshops. I am actually taking a really cool workshop on fish leather tanning. I don't know if you heard about that.
I've seen a photo in your Instagram and it's a bit frightening.
I know, but it's so cool. So those two skins are the first ones I've ever tanned. One of them, I was softening it yesterday. So you just add a little bit more water, and I don't know where I left them. They're not here in the studio. Yeah. So if you don't soften the leather that much, it stays like the ones you saw in the picture. But I'll post another picture of the one without softening and the one that's softened. It does look a little bit different, and it's really cool because you don't use any chemicals. It's just pure. We use black tea for that, and it's pretty cool. I have those are white bass, the two of them. I actually have a salmon waiting on me to do the next part. And we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's really cool, and I can't wait to see how I'm going to use it in my books.
Oh, so you haven't tried it yet?
No, I haven't. I just did it like the last class. So it's a 2-session class, and the second session was on the 13th. So I'm still working on the ones I started in class, but then I started a couple extras later. So they're still in the tea solution, and hopefully over the weekend I can do the next part of the process, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's really cool.
I think Brenda Gallagher showed us some very posh Icelandic fish leathers, and she used them in her projects.
Did she buy it, or did she tan it herself?
She bought them.
No, she bought them. Yeah.
She cheated. I have to talk to her.
It's a nice contrast to how traditional leather is made, because that is also organic, but it smells awful. I've been to a traditional tannery and it smelled of ammonia.
Well, here you don't even use that. You just need to scrape all of the flesh off of the skin and the scales. But it doesn't smell any worse than when you go to the fish place or when you're in the grocery store in the seafood section. I mean, so it's not a smell that you're like, getting sick of. It smells bad for a little bit, but the minute you put it in the tea solution, you don't have that smell anymore.
And was this departure for you, or have you made some of your materials by yourself before?
I've decorated paper, but everything else I usually buy. I mean, I've done different paste papers decoration, and what else? Marbling, paper marbling. But I think that I prefer to buy a marbled paper from a paper marbler than have 20 years of practice so that I can get at least half of a good quality of what those people already do for a living. So why bother? I mean, I did wanted to learn just for the sake of knowing the process and how it was made, and but when I'm using those for a project, I don't mind buying them if I'm getting a better quality.
Yeah, there are definitely some crafts that demand a lot of learning before you start producing sort of decent objects.
Yeah,
and marbling is one of them.
Those paper marblers even have a catalog, and they get the same pattern every single time. I had the same color of paints for that project, and none of my sheets turned out the same, not even close. So I mean, it was fun learning, and I have my sheets, and it's cool knowing that I've made them, but I don't use them for like important projects. Like no way.
I really like how learning seems to be a theme with you.
Yes,
it seems to be your thing.
I love taking workshops. I love teaching workshops. And I think it's mainly because I'm by myself in the studio most of the time. I used to have a guy that was helping me, but he was only here for like a year. He's off to starting his own business. Well, he already had a business, but now he's like full-time dedicating to his own. But I think the part of me that loves taking workshop is that I'm by myself most of the time, then getting together with people to make something that I really enjoy. Like when I take workshops, like bookbinding workshops or any kind of workshops. I signed up for a basket making workshop a while ago. So it's just I think I also have this curiosity of how things are made, and especially handmade stuff. So that's why I love taking workshops. And I mean, of course, always bookbinding classes are at the top.
Yeah.
But then if I have time, I take some other classes. So that's why I'm loving this pandemic, because I learned several things, especially the tanning class. I mean, I think it's gonna be fun to just make some books with the fish skins.
So what are the other things you plan to learn this year besides fish skin tanning?
I took a cheese making class. I enjoy cooking a lot, and I consider myself a cheeserian. So if I had to pick just one food for the rest of my life, I would pick cheese. So I don't know why, same thing as with bookbinding. I saw this post on someone else's Instagram about learn how to make cheese at home. And I'm like, what? Can you really make cheese at home? Like, of course, I had no idea. So I signed up for it, and I've already taken like 4 classes on cheese making, and it's really, 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 really cool. And again, I mean, it's going back to eating healthier. I mean, the processed milk that's used for the cheeses that we find at the grocery store, I don't even want to know what's in it. The problem is I still like them, but I know they're not, I mean, there's no like good in them, they taste good, but there's nothing healthy about eating them. So going back to making, I mean, it takes a little bit of time, but again, I'm blessed. I'm living this pandemic the way I am, and learning how to do more things, like even though the classes that I took, I also took the cheese making class, and I also took some other cooking classes.
And another thing I think you've mentioned, correct me if I'm wrong, that you're interested in Islamic bookbinding, right?
It was one of the models that we made in Rodrigo's class.
Do you have it?
Yeah. I'll show you all the models that I've made, like the historical bindings that I made with him.
Because just recently we had the talk with Katie Abbott, who is, among other things, is a book conservator who works with Islamic binding. So
well, I'll show you mine. So this is the one we made in his class.
Mhm.
There is another headband.
Those are
and
pretty.
Paper. This
Your,
paper.
your headbands are amazing, I have to say.
Check out this marbled
Whoa.
paper. This is from a guy in Brazil. I don't know if you know him, Renato Crepaldi. I'll send you the information. Check it out.
Oh, it's amazing.
He makes the coolest papers, like as of today. Like I've seen a lot of marbled papers, but I've never seen anything like his papers. They're amazing.
So, this was so luxurious.
It's
vibrant
and the quality
reminiscent of the carnival, you know, full of life.
No, I love his papers. Like I'll send you his contact info. I don't know him, but just by social media, and his papers are just to die for. So this is another of the historical bindings I've made. This is a Greek binding. That's another headband for you. And these clasps.
Yeah.
These are wooden boards. It's blind tooled. I'm sorry, the lighting in my studio is really bad because the back wall is green.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get this hint of green in the lighting. So yeah, this is one.
Yeah.
And this is a late 15th century binding with another headband.
And it's a leather headband, yeah?
It's blue leather and it's blind tooled. I don't know if you can see a little bit of the tooling there.
Yeah, we can see the tooling, but the end vent is also made with leather.
Yeah, it's a leather headband.
Yeah.
It's a white strip of leather.
Yeah, and end vents is something that I always check when I'm at the museum where they have old bindings and maybe new bindings as well. I always go to check the end vents first and then everything else.
I love headbands too. I'm not really good at them, but I really like them. These are my first clasps. I actually made those clasps. They're not like my friend Gabriela's, but I made them. I'm happy with them. So those are the three. Oh, and this is the springback binding, the other historical binding that I've made with Rodrigo. So it was this guy, the Greek binding, the this blue one, the Islamic binding, and this with the marbled paper and a headband. I actually have two. There's like, I worked on the two at the same time, so they're kind of like twins. So
that's nice.
They're my twins, and then they have the same end paper.
And could you talk a bit more about the Islamic binding? How is it different to European one?
Well, first of all, even though there's no text in here, you know how this is not the right side, it's like the other side. And I've seen a couple of them, and I've seen this filigree too on the inside flap. But I don't know a lot about them. I know there's different models. I think there's one that's like a box, and it's actually I think the actual format is more square. I have no idea how that headband is. I don't know if it's the same as that one. But I'm not familiar with any other Islamic bindings, but this one and the other one that's kind of like in a box.
Maybe during the next workshop you will.
Yeah. Maybe I'll make the other version at some point.
Yeah.
This is a vellum covered book.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite headbands.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's gold, the gold edge on the top.
And is it a triple core end band or double core?
It's a double core.
Yeah. Okay. Because it's pretty fine.
double core, but if you see the very bottom, that's
Yeah.
just not. It's not another chord.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just-
Okay. Yeah.
It's just the two
That's
chords.
why I thought it may be a triple core.
No. Yeah, it looks like it, but it's not. And I have no idea where this paper came from. We got it at the workshop where I made this book in San Francisco. That's beautiful. And I have to contact the teacher to tell me where this paper is coming from because it's really cool.
It looks like something that would definitely fit some sci-fi novel.
Yes. Yes. What else can I show you? I can show you what I've been working. Oh, this is really cool. I love this. This is one of the modern structures that I learned in Mexico City. It's called an articulated binding. I don't know if you've heard about this. Yeah, it's really cool. This just has leather. It's a leather covered headband. And I have this baby one with the marble.
Oh, that's nice.
And this is where I use my punch. I love using my punch for decorating this. Look, the spine, and this is the front. And that's the paper.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I love these babies. And that's another one, articulated binding.
How do they work?
There's two different ones. This one is just, if you see it's just one piece of leather, but the sections here are different. They're separated a little bit. So how I make it, I glue the pieces on a Tyvek piece, so that I know exactly how much of a gap to leave between them, and then I cover the covers are covered individually. So this yellow one is covered. It's almost like a 3-piece binding, like I don't know if you're familiar with Bradell binding or something.
Yeah.
So it's a 3-piece binding. You can see the spine here going a little bit into the front and back covers, and then this is just an onlay, the green part. It looks like if it was another piece, but it's not. And those 3 are made like that. So the cover pieces are glued to a Tyvek piece, and then I just cover the whole thing with leather. But these ones have every piece is covered separately. And this piece has a little flap where this one overlaps into here. And then this one has a flap over here for the third one to overlap a bit over here. So this cover, you kind of assemble it as you go. They're not glued onto anything. Every piece is different and separate.
And it sounds like a long process. I assume you glue them and you leave them under press, and then you.
Yeah. And this is like a puzzle. I mean, putting this together was a nightmare. So I had to start with this, and then that, and then that, and then the last parts, the gray ones. But it was fun.
Oh, this is fascinating, and to me as a mathematician, it's even more fun. It looks.
I know nothing about math. I hate math, and I had to break my head for this to make this work. It was a nightmare, but this was not that bad. But the other one was, yeah.
And the effect is very engaging. Even from here, I want to touch it. I want to play with it.
And I think this comes from Italy, from the phone books they had hanging on the telephone booths. That's how they were, so that you can actually flip the whole thing, and so to make it easier for you to find what page you were looking for. So if this was a hardcover, it would be hard because you're on the phone. Back in the day, you're dialing and you're looking at the phone book, and you had to hold the speaker.
And being Italian, you also need both of your hands while talking.
I know. So I think that's where the story comes from this, like, so I know people that teach this binding and leave a larger gap so that you can actually roll it onto itself. But to me, it bothers me to have a larger gap between the pieces. So if this is just like a visual thing, it's not actually doing anything for the structure, it's just plainly decorative. I rather just have a, you know, this much, like I don't need the cover to roll onto itself, you know what I mean? So I don't need to leave that much of a gap for the cover to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you what I've been working on at the American Academy of Bookbinding. Peter's class with the gold edges.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one. That's another headband. And then that's both of them, like golden painting and speckles. And this is just the speckles.
Uh-huh.
And I haven't worked on the covers yet. I did a class already, but I haven't done a lot on actually working on the covers for the content of the book.
Mhm.
This is just another one from Dawn's class. And that's the headband.
Oh.
And that's the graphite edge.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the end paper. I don't know if you can see, there's like it's gray, but it has a little bit of a texture.
Yeah, yeah. And the lines on the graphite edges are also a continuation of the lines on the covers or something like that.
Yeah, no, it's the same pattern, but it doesn't continue the actual line.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I see now.
And then this is just the plain green one with a top edge with speckles, but this is only paint, it's not gold speckles.
Uh-huh.
And then I started making the headbands different from the top than the bottom. So that's the one at the top, and that's the headband on the bottom. And the paper, this is really cool paper.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so I've been, those are the classes. Oh, I took Julia Miller's class, the scroll, tablet, and codex or something like that was called.
Mhm.
And it was a really cool class because it was more the historical aspect of it and the history in the morning, and in the afternoon we were making some of the structures that we had seen in the presentation that morning. So it was a good combo.
So you've made an actual scroll?
Mm-hmm. So, do you want to see it?
Sure. Well, yeah, we discussed this during our first podcast with Peter Garrity, this class that is sort of a history class, but then you get a chance to make some historical objects on your own.
That's how that class was. But this is one of the videos that I sent you. This is just a small one that I have.
Yeah.
The pop-up, the Hugo Peller box. Have you seen this before?
I did, Pavel did, but didn't see anything like that before.
I've never seen anything like it, and
you haven't seen this? Oh my God, this is so popular. It's really
this
cool.
Is so much fun. It looks like something that you'd use to propose to someone.
So it's like just two trays that are in a certain way attached to this spine with the leather going over to the top tray, like here.
Yeah.
And it has a ribbon that makes this go pop. Can you see the ribbon down there?
Yeah.
So that's
and in another video you sent us, I saw several ribbons. So I assume the bigger the book.
Yeah. This is just a really small book. So the yellow one has 3 ribbons because and that book is actually really, really thick and fat. So I had to put 3 of them. And then that's another headband. And I love using, again, that punch for decorating my spines. Of course, these were all made at the same time. So I was kind of inspired with that tool. So I started using it a lot. So I'll show you what we made in Julia Miller's class. So the first ones we made, it was just a very simple scroll. It's vellum. There's nothing in it. It's just a papyrus. Like that's just, this is kind of like the cover. So you have a little bit of the parchment, and then the
That's papyrus, right?
yeah, and then the rest of the roll is papyrus. So when it's rolled, this is, you know, it goes all the way around, and it's kind of like
Protective cover. Yeah.
So the papyrus is not exposed. And then we made this other one, this little cover with the two. That's just a single scroll, and this one has two. So this, you would go like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And start reading from.
And how is it attached to the axis?
They're just glued. I mean, it goes all the way around, but the papyrus is kind of wrapped around the dial. And she brought those, I don't know, studs for like furniture or something, but it looks really cool.
Yeah.
So we went on the history like that, and then we went from the scrolls, and then this is supposed to be a wax tablet, and you open it like this, and that's supposed to be carved out where the wax was. And then another scroll. This was a larger scroll. And then the wooden tablets.
This codex structure is supposed to come from something.
Yes,
like
we ended up. So we made then that one. These are supposed to be like the hardcovers with just layers and layers and layers of papyrus. Of course, we did not. We made this with a mold. It's not cut out. So it's just pieces and pieces and pieces.
And these are based on Coptic bindings. What kind of structure is that?
This is the. Can you see how these are laced on like with a like on this? So it's not a particularly a Coptic binding. I can't remember how this stitching is called.
But it does look very ancient, like 6th or 7th century. Yeah.
These are early books. These are all early books. And then we made the Nagamati.
Yeah.
Like that. With the ties up here.
And you know the tragedy. The original bindings were detached from the Nag Hammadi books.
I know.
I mean, the oldest bindings in existence were dismantled the same year.
So long, I know. And then in my spare time in Telluride, since I love being in the studio, I made a baby Nagamati. With all my leftover leather and all my leftover papyrus, I ended up just making a tiny, tiny, tiny Nagamati.
That's great.
Yeah. So these are all the books from that one class. It was actually called Early Book Structures. So a roll, tablet, roll, scroll, tablet, something like that, like the scroll, tablet, and codex, and early structures.
This sounds fun. Really nice course to attend.
It's a really good class, and she's amazing. Julia Miller is just the best. All of the teachers are the best. I say that of all of the people that I learn from, because I love when people are sharing their knowledge and what they love with other people. So I find that very interesting.
What about boxes? Is this a one-off interest for you, those telescopic ones, or do you make your own boxes?
I used to work at a studio in Austin when I recently graduated from the master's program, and we made a bunch of clamshell boxes. So for a year, even though I thought it was a bookbinding studio, I ended up making more boxes than I can ever imagine. So yeah, I've done several boxes. I think I'll show you one of my projects. This is a project from an ongoing client. Like it's a company. I'm gonna not show you the name of the company, but then it's first, like I write the name of their client, same on the spine. But then when you open, it's just a clamshell box, but when you open it, you have a space here to put a USB memory in there.
Mm-hmm.
The book goes here, and then there's room for the USB like flash drive thing.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of projects that, even though now it's just the same structure over and over, when they first contacted me, we were both involved in deciding that this would be a better format for what they were, to suit their needs.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I've made several boxes. I showed you that the pop-up one, and
yeah, the second one you send us the video of the Encyclopedia of Ephemera. This is sort of how we got to you, because Brenda Gallagher told us about her
Encyclopedia of Inspiration.
Her ephemera encyclopedia binding, and then we asked her what other bookbinders we should reach out to, and one of the names she gave us was yours, and so here's the connection between these two episodes, between these two podcasts.
I met a while ago at AAB, and then she had me teach she's volunteering and teaching at what's the place called where she teaches in Boulder? It's the Book Arts League.
Yeah.
They have an old barn where they have some letterpresses, and it's more like a letterpress studio, but she does the bookbinding, classes there. So she had me teach. Actually, we did the articulated binding for the Book Arts League group a couple of years ago. And again, we were planning on going this year, but last year, but
yeah, everything changed.
We were not even able to plan it because this happened.
Yeah.
But it
also sort of connected to teaching and studying bookbinding. We just recently had somebody post a question on our Discord channel, and if anyone wants to join, there should be a link below this video about books about bookbinding and tutorials, bookbinding tutorials in Spanish language. Do you have any favorite books in Spanish language that are dedicated to bookbinding, or what is the world of bookbinding tutorials in Spanish? How does it work?
I know there's I think it's a gal from Argentina and someone from Spain that are doing online workshops. And as far as books on bookmaking, there must be a history, and I know there's a couple of books from a while back. There's a bookbinder in Barcelona.
Yeah,
Cambras, yeah.
Yep.
There's a book he published, and it's really good. I had the fortune of meeting him and visiting his studio in Barcelona, and he's just awesome. He's the best. He's very humble. His work is just to die for. I admire him a lot. He's dedicated all his life to bookbinding. He showed me his masterpiece one time. He had made this book for someone, and when that man passed away, the wife came to Joseph to return the book. She said, "This book is so precious that nobody would value it as much as the one person that made it." So she gave the book back to him. And I had the fortune to see it, and it's amazing. He told me how many hours were put in that. I don't think he even went home to sleep or eat. He was just working on the book like crazy. And he has an awesome collection of tools for the hand tools and the wheels. He was very nice to letting me in the studio, even though he has a really busy schedule and he's always busy in the studio. But he signed my book. Of course, I bought it when I was in Barcelona, and I'm so happy that I have a signed book from him.
It would have been so great to talk to him.
You should.
Yeah.
He takes forever to email you back. But
Okay.
Eventually he does.
We'll try to reach out to him. It was his books were one of the first books on bookbinding I had. At least proper books, because I had some brochures or something like that. So I studied most of my basic beginner skills were I got from his book. So yeah, he is one of my favorite authors, and I always recommend his book to everyone.
I don't know in how many languages that book has been translated now, but I think it's at least like 7 languages.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's out of print in most of the countries. So.
Yeah, but he's awesome.
Yeah, maybe we'll try to reach out to him.
We should have a teacher workshop. That's what we should do.
Sorry?
We should have him teach a workshop. I don't think he'll ever take the time, but that would be, he taught for so long.
Yeah.
I think the program is not running anymore. I think it was a craft school. I don't know if it's still running. But who knows with this pandemic thing, if it's still going or not. But yeah, he was teaching at a crafts school in Barcelona.
Yeah. You mentioned someone from Argentina, and at several years ago, when I started to look around the world for different bookbinders and bookish people, I was it wouldn't be a right word to use surprised, but I was astonished on how many book artists and bookbinders are there in South America, in Chile, in Argentina. Brazil is a bit different, but there are also quite a lot of masters there. So it's as I told earlier, you are opening a new world to us, a Spanish-speaking American world of bookbinding, and I really hope we will have more guests from both from Mexico and Central America and from South America as well, because it should be so interesting to.
That would be great exposure.
Yeah.
Perhaps you can recommend someone to us.
Well, I can recommend my teacher Rodrigo Ortega. For who else? Well, the people from Argentina and Spain. I only know the one from Spain. It's Susana Dominguez. Maybe she'd be willing to do one of these recordings. The other woman is Sol Rebora, but I only know her from social media. She's amazing.
Yeah, she has amazing bindings. That's true. Yeah. I not spoke, but chatted with Sol some time ago when she was in Paris for an exhibition. More than a year ago, I guess it was, and we discussed exactly that fact that there is this whole world of South American bookbinders and bindings that is almost not known to European and I guess people from the United States, because first there is this distance which sort of do not allow to connect. And then, of course, there is a bit of language barrier because not everybody speaks English in among the South American bookbinders, and not everybody speaks Spanish here or Portuguese to connect. So it would be really great to have more connection and more exposure.
Yeah. Well, you just have to maybe ask them if they can be okay with English and having this in English to
That's what we try to do, and we'll see. Maybe at some moment we have plans on adding a French-speaking host this year. Maybe a bit later we will add the Spanish-speaking host, and it will be much easier to reach out to people.
Yeah, that would be great. I know there's a lot of book arts also in Poland, a lot of bookbinding.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think they have a very big community as well. And there's several names that I need to go back and check to see who I can recommend. But there's a lot going on in Poland as well.
Yeah, that's true. We had a discussion with a couple of bookbinders from Poland as well, and in Eastern Europe it's really strange because in many countries the tradition of bookbinding was it started to get lost in the Soviet times, and then after the Soviet bloc was ended, these traditions in some places they were lost completely because there was just no demand in good bindings. So for some time there was almost nothing to nobody to continue the tradition. But there are some people now. So maybe we will ask you to show around your workshop a bit, because Pavel will have to leave soon, and maybe it will just a good ending to our talk.
So here is my big stamping machine.
Yeah.
This is for stamping plates. So it's almost like a Kensal, but it's some Mexican adaptation for it. So it used to be just a printing press, but if you see there's 2 holes here, that's where the heating system is, and this is where you glue the plates.
Okay.
So it used to be a printing press, but now it's used for that. And then I have
looks very brutal.
I'm sorry?
Brutal. I mean, it's a serious piece of machinery.
I'm so used to it that when I see a Kensal machine, I freak out. Like, I don't even know how that thing works. And handling the pressure in a Kensal machine, it's like a nightmare. So these, you just go like this on the top wheel, and you can control the pressure. It's so much easier. So then I have my quick print here.
Yeah.
And my flat files and guillotine over here. And then my storage room.
That's a nice location for guillotine.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't take that much space, and I don't have to have an extra table for it. So I have have it over the flat files. Yeah. And then I have.
It's always interesting when people have small workshops. It's always interesting to see how they use space, because you have to use every square centimeter.
Every corner. I know this is just an extra room in the house where I live. So this is where I work. It's cool to have a studio in your own house and work whenever you want. So that's my my paper, my cutter, my big cutter, and I have another press back there and some books. And this is my work table, and I'm sorry for all that mess, but these are all the books that I just pulled out to show you. And this is actually the project that I'm using, that I'm working on right now. This is my first broadside. I'm going to sew these big pages, and the cover will have, it would be a leather cover. It's going to be a brown leather cover, and I'm going to have leaves embossed on the cover. I don't know if you can actually
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kind of like that texture.
So do you use real leaves for embossing
yeah,
or?
they're here.
Oh yeah. You showed
And
us earlier.
how does that work? How do you transfer one onto the other?
Oh, you press the leaves in one of the presses. You put a little bit of moisture on the leather, put the leaf over it, and then blotter paper, and then you put some foam on top, a spongy foam, and you press it for, I don't know, like half an hour. So you move it around. I had the leaves already distributed to the size of the book. So when I have the cover, I know where the plate with the top with the logo will go, and then all the leaves all around. I love when I'm challenged like this because it takes me out of my comfort zone. I mean, the same way when I was, making those little ones just to challenge myself and force myself to do something different. So here, working on a book this big, of course, I'm going to need wooden covers. So I need to sand them and shape them and drill the holes and then cover the whole thing with a huge piece of leather. So I actually have 3 pieces of leather because it's not, one piece is not enough. So that's why we have those. I showed you the stitches on the.
Yeah.
I'm going to be stitching the leather because that's how the client and I decided that we're gonna instead of trying to match
that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I'll send you pictures when I'm done. It should be done. I don't know.
Looks like the surface of a baseball.
Yeah. The stitches on the baseball. Yeah. I haven't thought of that, but yes, it does look like that. So we'll see. I hope it turns out okay. I hope it goes as planned.
There's also, a bit of Frankenstein monster effect to it.
With the stitches. Well,
Yeah,
the stitches are gonna run like in one direction on the front and just a little on the back. It's not gonna be all stitches all over. No, it's not gonna be patchwork. No, it's not. So yeah, that's what I'm working on over the weekend. We'll see how it goes.
Thank you very much, Lucia, for talking to us and for spending some time with us and answering questions, showing all these projects. This was really interesting and educational. Many thanks to our viewers and supporters, and special thanks to our patrons on Patreon. Your pledges allow us to cover the expenses on editing of this podcast, which we cherish your help quite a lot. Thank you very much for doing that. If anyone of our viewers would like to join the crowd on Patreon, please check the link down below in the description of this video. Pledges start with only $1, €1, or £1 per month, depending on your country. So for some people, it's not so much, and it will help us a lot with our new ideas and newer projects, and bringing French-speaking co-hosts to the project, and maybe Spanish-speaking co-hosts in the future. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching.
I'll volunteer for the Spanish-speaking co-host if you ever need someone to help you with that.
Yeah, we have a volunteer. Okay. Thanks again, and see you.
Thanks for having me. This was awesome.
Yeah. See everybody next time. Bye.
See you. Thanks
Bye-bye.
again. Bye-bye.